Okay, welcome everybody to the All Stars and Stripes Heroes Connection meeting. This is a place for military veterans, first responders, their families, advocates, or anybody who wants to support us and do business to business networking with us. And we are not only an alignable group as we started out, but we are also a Facebook group and a LinkedIn group. So you can always find us in either of those places. So I start out each meeting with one of my corny jokes. Usually has to do with military veterans, first responders. So why didn't the officer respond when asked how he got his start in the military? Anybody have a guess? Yep. It was private.
Oh, gosh.
All right. So for the next 58 minutes here, we are going to move this out of the way. We start each meeting with a moment of silence, and that's a time that you can either pray or meditate or just take some quiet time and then we have the Pledge of Allegiance, National Anthem video, and then I talk a little bit about what this group is about, what the Scuttlebutt.club is, and how to sign up to be a spotlight speaker. And we'll have our business briefs. You'll get your 30 to 60 seconds to tell us about yourself and your business. And then we have a hero highlight, a spotlight speaker, and Q&A, which today, like I said, it's going to be more just Q&A, but I kind of have a theme that we're going to go with. And then I have announcements and reminders and inspirational thought, and then fellowship and moving on. So we'll start with a minute of silence. Deep breath. Now we will start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Ruben, would you like to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please? Are you muted? I can't hear you.
Ruben. How's that?
Yeah, there you go. Can you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Sure. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, for liberty and justice for all.
Okay, and then I have a recording of the national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
All right, and if anybody ever has any finds a national anthem on Vimeo or YouTube, if you want to send it over to me, I can include it in one of our future slides. So I'm going to real quickly go through the who, what, where, when, how, and why about this group. The group is, like I talked about earlier, for military veterans, first responders, advocates, nonprofits, their families, or anyone who wants to do business-to-business networking with them. And this group is for sharing helpful information. It's a connection hub for businesses and organizations that want to connect with or are run by our nation's heroes, and promoting one another's businesses, services, or organizations. And people are from sea to shining sea and over the seas and on the sea. I have a son who's planning to, working towards being a sea captain. So maybe one day he'll join us from overseas. And we meet on Zoom, so we can do that. And when do we meet? Right now, Mondays at 3 o'clock Central, 4 o'clock Eastern, 2 o'clock Mountain, and 1 o'clock Pacific. Typical Zoom courtesy applies, and so y'all can read that. I'm sure everybody here does plenty of these Zoom meetings, so you know the drill. And we meet to be resourceful, to receive help where needed, for connecting, setting up one-to-one meetings. If you're not setting up one-to-one meetings, you're really missing out, because I'm really hoping that it goes beyond just this 1 hour, that everybody can refer clients to one another and help one another. And so for camaraderie, encouragement, collaboration, empowerment, fellowship, and more. And then the Scuttlebutt. If you scan that QR code, or if you just go to the scuttlebutt.club, and it is an HTTP, not an HTTPS domain name, but it is where you'll find the Zoom meeting link. You'll find recordings of our previous meetings. You'll also find ways to contact me. And at the bottom, there is a form that you can fill out to become a Spotlight speaker. And there are where you can check dates off that you can possibly speak. Be sure to check as many dates as you can, so that makes it easier for me to schedule you. And we are booking into November now. November, December, January. So believe it or not, it'll be here before you know it. And that's what it looks like if you pull it up on the computer. It's got this real cool fireworks show in the background. As mentioned earlier, we are on Facebook and LinkedIn and YouTube. And right now we're up to 1,430 members. I think when I started this meeting, we had less than 1,000. And so the 701 is the sister group, the Military Spouse Business Owners and Entrepreneurs and Freelancers group. That's also unalignable. So if you haven't joined that, make sure that you do. And this little chart here is just showing how, who is active, who's not. And I did add our Facebook group. Look, it's so tiny down here compared to these. So everybody needs to go over and join our Facebook group and share it too. Now I am going to stop sharing here and have our business briefs. My faithful co-host Terry Moore is going to call on each of us, and so I will turn the mic over to her.
All righty. Well, thank you very, very much, Angela. It's so good to be here. Well, I'm going to go ahead and start with, let's see, I picked on her last time. I'm going to go ahead and start with Mary today. Mary Gant. Now, one thing I want everyone to do is tell us who you are, what you do, how we can help you, what referrals are you looking for, and last but not least, where are you from? So Mary, take it away.
Okay, I'll start out with greetings from Michigan. And like Angela had mentioned, the holidays are going to be here before you know it. Photo gifts make wonderful gifts. They're from the heart. They let people know you care about them. You will not find them in a garage sale 2 years from now. There's going to be on September 21st at Saturday for 1 hour, there's going to be a virtual talk on how to preserve your photos from the holidays and photo gift ideas. They're not just for friends and family, they're for business partners, a way to thank your good customers, your referral sources. So I'm going to put a link in the chat for that virtual meeting. If you can attend it, register anyway, because you'll get the recording and you can refer back to it later on. And I can help you with any of your photo gift needs. I'm Mary Gant, your photo coach, because your memories are worth preserving.
Hey, thank you very much, Mary. Let's go with Jacqueline. Hi, Jacqueline.
Hi, everyone. Nice to see you all. You wanted to know where I'm from. I'm in Brooklyn, New York. My company is Original Approach Entertainment. I am an author of an e-cookbook with international cuisine, comedy stories, and music.
Oh, wow.
And I created an interactive dinner show experience in a kitchen. So now I have 6 affiliates who to join my program to sell my ebook. And counting more. It's very exciting, and yeah, doing my thing.
Okay. And how can we help you this week? What kind of referrals?
Yeah, the affiliates are like customers to me. The more affiliates, the better. But whoever, is interested in this type of book, I'm trying to help my affiliates to sell. So yeah, it would be great to have more affiliates to have them sell and try to direct them as I could best.
Okay, great. Thank you.
And my
Let's
program
go.
is on my website, so I'll also include the link to my website.
Yes, that'd be great. Okay, let's go with Janet Hamilton.
Hi, everyone, and thanks for having me again. I'm just about to launch a new podcast and coaching website called The Anomaly Factor, because I have lived my whole life, unbeknownst to myself, with chronic post-traumatic stress disorder. And I've recently connected within myself, and there's freedom on the other side. So I'm doing compassionate inquiry sessions and relational life therapy to help others heal their own pain and suffering.
I love that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, let's go. Let's go with Janet Hudson.
Hi, everybody. I am from Maryville, Tennessee, and I am with a company called LifeWave, who has technology that, I think when we used to watch some science fiction movies, we thought there was no such thing as reversing the aging process. But this company has developed technology through a patch phototherapy technology that reverses the aging process. So it will help you heal from the inside out, and also deals with a lot of things like anxiety, depression, and post-traumatic stress. So what I'm really looking for is to connect with veterans who are dealing with that. Our big goal, and for my husband and I, is to help veterans to get through the process of the trauma that they've dealt with, whether it's physical or mental, and help them through this technology that has no drugs. I'm a nurse practitioner, and I love helping people with the health and wellness space instead of the big pharma space. So that's really fun now.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Okay, I think we're gonna go with the men. Oh, Natalie. We're gonna go with Natalie.
Good afternoon. I also with Mary is in Metro Detroit, Michigan, and been here all my life. But well, not in Metro Detroit, but in Michigan. I am helping people with health and wellness, switching from sick care to well care with products that are produced from science and proven by people and research. I'm a Shaklee distributor, and the products changed my life 44 years ago. I think one idea was presented to me lately is look around and see someone that you know that might be in their last 10 years of life and
Mm.
see if you want to be healthy or not healthy as they are. I have friends that are really in a lot of trouble because they didn't choose to take care of themselves. So now is the time to think about caring for yourself. We have tremendous nutritional products, proven skincare so that you're not poisoning yourself with chemicals, and cleaners for the home. And of course, a tremendous earning opportunity. So most clinically proven wellness company in the world. And I would love to have you introduce me to a young mom with kids, especially a veteran mom or a military mom. And this month, there's a free membership with any order. So if you've thought about kicking the tires and trying something and don't want to pay the retail price, now's the time. Check with me. I'll put my information in the chat. Thank you. Have a blessed day.
Thanks, Natalie. Okay, I'm gonna go with Tom. Looks like he's driving. I think he can talk.
Give me a sec. Takes time. Yes, I've been on the road since 1 a.m. this morning, so I apologize.
Oh,
So yes, my name is Thomas Long. I'm a 100% total permanently disabled veteran. What I'm here to do is just share my story, share exactly what it is that changed my life. I focus on gut health, helping my fellow veterans find out that there is another way. I don't mean to say a better way, another way that you can take your life back. I was almost 350 pounds. I was bedridden for 7 years. I took my life back through getting my gut health correct first, then got the rest of my body correct. And I just here to help share that information with my fellow veterans to shorten their learning curve on how to take it back when you can't do physical exercise that everybody tries to shove down your throat, as well as the pharmaceutical world. So my perfect referral, somewhere where you can help me is somebody that is in pain, somebody that has the mental, like I did, PTSD, depression, anxiety, stress. I'm here to help in any way that I possibly can. Thank you very much. Have a blessed day.
okay. Keep 2 hands on the wheel, buddy. All right, let's go with the new person here. Let's go with John. John O'Neill.
Hello, everybody. I'm in the Dallas area. And when I went to college years ago, I was studying the sciences. I wanted to be a doctor. Eventually, I had to switch to career fields, and I got into the business and finance industry. And I started off as a financial advisor. I got into financial services to do the financial equivalent of what I wanted to do in medical field, and that is leave people better than they came. I was a medic in the Army, but in the Air Force, I was a science officer. So I did both services. Years later, after being in the financial industry, I was a financial advisor over 10 years ago. I started my own business, and it is to work with small business owners and individuals to offer them a customized plan to build wealth in 2 major ways. 1, eliminating all debt in 10 years or less without any extra spending. And 2, to build a source of passive income. An ideal person for me is someone who would like to build wealth. Once you have income, be it a small business owner or a small business owner or an individual, I'd be happy to have a conversation, free consultation. I'd be also happy to give a free presentation to groups to talk about how you could get on that journey to building wealth with your current income. What I described is you don't need any extra income. You could do it with the income you have. Thank you.
Thanks, John. Welcome to this group. All right, let's go with Superman. Got to keep it to 30 seconds, everyone, because we're going to run out of time here. And I know Angela's got a special thing she wants to do.
So it's great to
Thank
see
you.
everybody. Shane Hicks, Reboot VA. This week, the Reboot VA New Braunfels chapter is raising money to support our Operation Hope and Healing Health and Wellness event, which is this weekend. The funds that we raised there are going to support 2 of our programs. We started a twice a month coffee for veterans, male and female, for the
Wow.
ones that just want to talk. So we feed them donuts, feed them coffee, and listen. Novel, right? Then from there, we also provide safe spaces for female veterans to network and socialize as well. We do that by selling wine and holding wine tastings. And so if you follow the link there in the chat, that will take you to the fundraiser for this month. Any help that you guys can get would be greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Thanks, Shane. Okay, let's go with Richard.
Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Richard Brooks out of Clarksville, Tennessee, and I provide a number of low-cost solutions because in this economy, you got to watch what you're spending. Currently, one of the main things I'm promoting is marketing, and if you go to richardbrooksmarketing.com, you can find out all about it. I also work closely with Angela Nelson. So if you have any questions, I have dropped information in the chat, and it's a pleasure to be on these Zooms. Thank you.
Thanks, Richard. Okay, let's go with Ruben.
Hello, everybody. The show who you are with one QR. Guys, I had veterans that have a business. They go into homes and they spray the house for molds. Okay. They use it's called soft wash. Okay. They come up to my house. They put this sign on my property, but they didn't have one QR. Now they do. They have it on their car now in their van. So this morning we went out. I have a mother-in-law that's 102 years old. Her house is pretty in sad shape. So
Wow.
they gave me a referral for another guy that has this kind of business. And guess I asked him the same question. Okay, show people who you are with one QR. He said, what is that? And I showed him this. So he's dealing with it too. So if you know of any veterans that are in that kind of business, the side business that these people are getting into is they also put up Christmas lights on high-end homes. So it's pretty good, a pretty lucrative business. So we have a free one that we give you to try out, and just reach out to me. Thank you.
Thanks, Ruben. Okay, let's go with John, the other John, Petros.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the new person in this group. It's a great group. I do ads on all social media platforms for businesses of all sizes, as well as 30-second videos on pretty much most live stream TVs. I also have a podcast on Friday evenings at 5 o'clock Eastern. I'm looking for guests that would like to come on and talk about marketing. If you're interested in that, my info's all in the chat. I have a guest coming this Friday night on my podcast. If I can just put a little comment in about it. He's from Alignable. He's very well known. He's also an Alignable ambassador. His name is Dr. Thomas Hill. I just had a very long chat with him today on a one-on-one. And he is more than happy to be my guest Friday night. It's being live streamed on YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn. So if you're interested, please join in.
Okay, great. Thanks, John. Okay, let's go with Dennis.
Hello, I'm Dennis Schroeder. I live in Middle Tennessee. I'm a retired Army officer, spent 24 years as a Medical Service Corps officer in the United States Army. I currently run a nonprofit organization called the Price of Freedom Foundation. We are dedicated to collecting, preserving, and telling the complete life stories of those who paid the ultimate price, those who died on military service to our nation. We need lots, but I'll say the one thing that I could that could help that everybody here could do is go to our website. I'll put the website in the chat and join our email list. I promise I will not be spamming you. I think the last email I sent out was over a month ago. So sometimes you're going to have to look for my emails. But being able to be in contact with us and then find out, you know, the more than what I'm just saying here about what we're doing and maybe how you can plug in.
Okay, great. Thank you, Dennis. Well, I guess my turn. Hi, everyone. I'm Terry Moore. I am a coach, a speaker, and an author, and I'm all about helping individuals and entrepreneurs remove emotional triggers from their past so they can gain their confidence once again and reach their highest potential. So I help business owners come up with visionary plans of a blueprint has had great results over my time of being a coach. And then I live in Greensboro, North Carolina. I don't think we have any North Carolina people on this one, but I'm also a national speaker. So I need help on finding stages. And I don't care if I have to come to Dallas. I don't care if I have to come to St. Louis. I'm all about empowering individuals to be their very, very best. So if you know of a stage that I can be on, please send it my way. I'll be glad to make the connection. Thank you so much. And now we're going to turn it over to our fearless leader, Angela.
Thank you, Terry. Awesome job doing the business briefs. Thank you. And as far as for me, I would just like to say we all work really hard, and work is fun, but most of us work to make money. The problem is that a lot of us were never taught how money works, and it should be taught in school. Children, I should have learned this by the time I was 19 years old. And I am just finally learning this. I've learned a lot through osmosis over the years, but I work with the How Money Works company, and it's actually called WealthWave. We are with Transamerica. We're owned by Transamerica, which is, the big tall building in California, in San Francisco, next to the Golden Gate Bridge. But anyways, we have, if you've ever heard of Tom Matthews or Steve Siebold, they wrote this book called How Money Works, Stop Being a Sucker. Sometimes I feel like a sucker, like you got sucker written on your forehead everywhere you go, but anyways, we try to help people to be able to save money on their taxes and be able to pay off their debts so that they can roll more money into investing in their future and in their children's future. And we start by education, teaching people how money works and letting them make decisions for themselves instead of having somebody tell them what to do with their hard-earned money that they worked for. So that's what I do. I'd love to have a one-to-one connection with each and every one of you to show you in more detail what I do so that you can refer clients to me with a better understanding of who I look for and all of that. So let's see, I am going to share my screen with you all. And so I want to just say last Monday, if anybody was here, I apologize if you showed up but we had talked the week before that we were not going to be meeting because of Labor Day. As it turns out, I ended up in the hospital with pneumonia for 3 days, and so I wouldn't have been able to have the meeting anyways. I'm sure that Terry might have helped out, or somebody else would have helped out, but it worked out really good that we didn't have our meeting last week. Now this week I had a spotlight speaker lined up, and she ended up with COVID. So everybody get with Tom or Natalie or anybody in this group who sells vitamins, because we need to stay healthier. But so I usually do our hero highlight about the somebody that the spotlight speaker wants to talk about. And so everybody here pretty much knows about my son Sean that died in 2012. But I'm going to go into a little bit more detail. Dennis, get out your notes. Take notes. Dennis is going to be telling my son's story. And the reason I decided to do this today, I'm really happy this worked out this way. Not happy, but thankful. So today is September 9th, and you see on the gravestone and on the, it says September 20th, 2012. In actuality, he passed away as near as we can figure on September 9th. So from September 9th to the 20th is a hard time of year for our family, because not knowing for sure which day he died, he was found on the 20th, but the last time he texted or sent any messages from his phone, it was on September 9th. So we kind of the family puts September 9th, and that's when we start our period of mourning each year. But he was a very handsome young boy. He is buried here in McKinney, Texas at the Pecan Grove Cemetery. It's a beautiful cemetery. He's buried next to my mom and my dad. These two pictures here are from his wedding day. He was married. He did not have children when he passed. But I'm going to go back a little ways. And this was him when he was a baby. And this little mischievous grin in this picture here. Can everybody see okay? I don't hear anybody, so I hope I didn't lose y'all.
Yes, we can
Okay.
we can see everything good.
Thank you.
Yes, we can hear you.
This little mischievous grin here and this little face that he was making in these pictures was pretty much summed up his whole personality in his life. He was funny. Everybody when he passed talked about his smile. Everybody loved his smile, and he loved music. He was a born-again believer and had been baptized when he was 9 years old, and he loved music. He loved to sing and play the piano. Of course, he played t-ball like most little boys do. This was his dad, who passed away when he was 10, and we would go every year. This was his sister, and we would go every year to the Texas State Fair. That's Big Tex in the background. Whoops, I went too fast. Hang on. And then this is him and me, because I was 17 when I had him. And so a lot of times we were very playful, and he was like my best friend. And as he got older, after his dad died, I remarried. He was the ring bearer, and his stepdad was very much country, rural. So his rural side came out. When he was younger, he had asthma, but it seemed like once he got out more in the country and living the country life and, fresh air and all of that, his asthma pretty much went away. And then here's him with all his brothers and sisters. He loved his brothers and sisters, and he was like the John boy in the family. I always wanted to have a boy first, and thankfully I did. The only one that's missing here is my youngest son, Benjamin, because he wasn't born yet in that picture. But and I wanted to say too that this is him with my mom, and this is him and I and his sister with my dad. This was taken actually just a few days before my dad died. And this was my dad in the military. This was my mom in the military. So they were a huge influence on his serving. And he was very close to his grandparents. This was my sister also, who had an influence on him. She was served in the Air Force. And all of them had a huge influence on my two youngest boys. This is Ben and Grady, who are, well, Ben is now a Marine Reserve in the Marine Reserves. He just reported this last weekend in Galveston. And he's going to be working on boats. And then Grady is in Japan, and he is a C-130 aircraft mechanic. So, and this was Sean when he served in the Army. These were back in 2006. He taught Iraqi soldiers how to use the weapons. And I just, oh, sorry. I love this, these pictures here, this one and this one, because that was him. He was always very expressive, very, you know, if he went fishing, you know, the fish was this big or this fish was this big. And so, and he loved teaching. He never met a stranger, and he was never afraid to get up in front of people and talk. So he did share a lot with these people, and it was when he was in Iraq. He had collapsed. He had chest pains, and he passed out, and they had to care flight him to Germany. And in Germany, he was in ICU for a week until they got him stabilized and sent him back to the States. And after that, he stayed stateside and had a avalanche of health problems that came from that. And he passed away in 2012 from just the complications of everything. And it actually ended up being an accidental overdose of prescription medications that he was on. It was a toxic mixture, what they said. So it wasn't like at first we didn't know, because he had struggled with PTSD. But anyways, I just wanted to commemorate him and his service and his life, not just his service, but he was influenced by September 11th. He went in a couple years after September 11th. And what I wanted to do today, instead of having our spotlight speaker, is I would like, September 11th is coming up on Tuesday. And I'd like everybody to just within like 30 seconds to a minute, share where you were on September 11th. Now let me stop sharing here. Jacqueline is from Brooklyn, New York. And I was thinking were you in New York when this happened? Okay,
Yes, I was.
And what I would like to know is what you were doing when you found out that this was happening, what happened, and also how it has affected you in your business, and if it has affected you in your business. And I'll just start by saying, just to give y'all an idea what I'm talking about. When this happened, we lived out in the country, and my ex-husband was in the heavy equipment business, and he had two very, very close calls of dying. And my daughter's first dad had also died, and she worried incessantly about him and always thought, man, I just wish he had an office job. And as it turns out, all of these people who were in those offices were in office jobs. They were not dangerous jobs. Now, of course, the firemen and the first responders who were there, they were, but so what it taught me was to not be afraid of things and to just reach out and do things, because you can be kept safe in the most dangerous of jobs, or, just like serving. And you can also die in your sleep like my son did, even though it was kind of a result of his service. But anyway, so Jacqueline, tell us where you were, what happened.
Yeah. So I was working in the corporate world, at that time. I worked in the West Village, so you could actually see Lower Manhattan from where I worked. I mean, years before, I actually did work in the trade towers. I worked for the Coffee, Sugar, Cocoa Exchange, and I worked for Cantor Fitzgerald. Cantor Fitzgerald lost the most amount of their employees, I think like 96% of their employees, from that. So I was I was actually not in the industry much later, but I had worked in the towers many years before, so remember that. And I wonder how many people I knew had passed away from the people I knew, at the time that I worked in those towers. So yeah, I was going to my job. I saw a building. I thought it was an accident, like when I was on the train going to work from Brooklyn, and I saw like a flash of light, something that happened, in the trade towers, and didn't know what it was. Nobody knew what it was, on the train. And when I got to the office, somebody said, we've just been attacked. It was a terror attack. No one knew. And then there was a building outside. When we were outside, it had melted like it was sand. One of the next tower that came down. So I was far away from it, but like in the East Village, between the West and East Village, you could actually see it. As I mentioned, you could see the towers. And yeah, the building just came down like sand. So just remembering that and then realizing what had happened afterwards, and I couldn't reach my husband, and I was so nervous, he works in Brooklyn, and still works in Brooklyn. He worked in Brooklyn at that time, but when I couldn't reach him, I thought something happened, and finally able to reach him. But I also remember walking, and they told us there's no trains running. So when I got outside, they were carrying bodies into St. Vincent's Hospital. And I was just walking and like, where are we all gonna go, And then I ended up on the Williamsburg Bridge, trying to get home and looking back and just seeing, the things, from a distance. And then I finally got a cab home, but it was, and I found my husband, of course, but it was fine. But yeah, it was terrifying.
Well, thank you for sharing that, Jacqueline. Did anybody here know anybody that was killed that day, either the Pentagon or at the Twin Towers? Anybody?
Six of my friends, their fathers all passed in the Twin Towers. They were, they worked in there, and they were all in school with me, and they were all affected directly from that.
Wow.
So, and that was my direct inspiration for joining the military. That's how it affected my business. That's where I was. I was at home, and I was directly affected that way. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom, for sharing that. Did anybody else here that was in the military or have family members that served in the military that were encouraged to serve because of that day?
I wasn't, I had already just gotten out of the military. And then when that happened, I'm like, my first thought was, I have to go back in and do something. My husband's like, no, you don't. You're not going back. So that, I was in the operating room at the time, doing anesthesia on a patient, and we heard it. And the surgeon was so distraught that he stopped doing surgery the rest of the day. So we were all hanging around the TV watching all of it, of course. And so that was my first thought was, I need to go back in. But I knew that wasn't realistic with what was going on in our lives, but that was my thought.
That person having surgery, now people say, what happened? Where were you? I was being cut open. I was under, but I shouldn't laugh. But and now, does anybody else? Can we have some more people share?
I had been retired.
Dennis?
Dennis, I had been retired 15 months when this happened, and I immediately tried to return to active duty, but they never responded to me. Where I was that day, I was living in Tacoma, Washington. I had lost the best job that I'd ever had, but it was the first job I got out of the military about 6 months prior. And I had started as a retired officer. It was a humbling experience. And it was my first day of training to be a shuttle driver for the Seattle Tacoma International Airport. I was on my way to that training when I heard it on the radio. Of course, we got there and like everything was shut down. What I would say is that that was not the only thing. It was basically one in a series of things over 11 years that were ups and downs in my life until 2000, when I returned to active duty for 2 years, and then following that, had a pretty decent job now running the nonprofit.
And I just want to thank everybody again here for their service. One thing I remember that day, we lived in Illinois. Like the closest town was, our big city was like 45 minutes away. We had little towns like, and in Illinois, everything is just flat. Like you could see a train from one end to the other when it was like far, like about a mile away. But I just remember it was a beautiful day, but we could always see lines in the sky from planes going overhead, and there was nothing, like not a plane in the sky. And until later in the day, we saw one plane, we saw like a formation, and I believe that was when the president was flying back. They had flown him out to, I think, Nevada or Colorado or something, and then they had flown him back. But that was one thing. And I was 8 months pregnant with my youngest son when this happened. Sure, that didn't have anything to do with all my all my problems, almost losing him, but yeah, it was crazy. Anybody else want to share? We got a couple more minutes.
Angela, John has his hand up.
John, let me see. I can't say. Oh yeah, you do. Okay, John.
Yeah, so again, I was in the Army and then switched to the Air Force. I was in officer training school for the Air Force when that happened. So we sort of suspended our training for that day.
Okay. Did you sense a feeling among the people that you were with of wanting to do something, wanting to just be active?
I think it emphasized how serious our commitment was in being service members to be able to protect our nation.
I have another question for everybody. Do you all feel like people have forgotten? This happened 23 years ago, all right? 23, yeah. Many people weren't born. Shane.
So I'll go with what you said before and then into what you just said, or how I feel now, right? So where was I? I was standing in my living room in San Antonio, Texas, and my phone rings, and it's a buddy of mine, and he goes, "Isn't your wife on her government contract at the Pentagon today?" Yep.
Was she there?
They had gone off site, but cell phones were down for, how many, like at least 6 hours. So it hit, my buddy calls, and I spent the next 6-8 hours trying to call my wife and the phone being dead. And knowing she was supposed to have been there that day, and she was indeed in town, but they had all gone off site when that happened. So that was very sobering, I guess. And then what I would tell there was, what I was proud of was that how we all came together as a nation for a bit. And then the question you just asked, do you think we forgot? Good Lord, look at us today. How divisive are we now? We've forgotten.
Yeah, I think it was Obama who said, I mean, I'm sure other people said it too, but that, it was a terrible day or a terrible thing that happened. But like you said, it did bring us all together, all across the country. And it was like everybody was a New Yorker that day, it seemed like, anybody else? We have just a few more minutes. Anybody else would like to share?
Yeah,
their
the
experience.
second question that you said about how we feel now, I completely echo what Shane said. The state of this country and what they're focusing on is the complete opposite of what we focused on then and after that for at least 6 to 7 years. And it's going completely in the opposite direction of ripping and tearing each other apart and down as fast as possible. So it's a shame that it's been forgotten and that unity is no longer there.
Besides posting on social media, do you all feel like there's anything that we can do for, say, the next generation? Anybody that's under 23 years old, you know, they weren't even around then, but is there anything else we can do to remember and to honor the lives of those people?
Angela?
Yes.
I can tell you one thing. The town I live in up here, Dracut, Mass, the young children up here will definitely remember that day for the simple reason the first person who was killed in that attack was the pilot in the first plane that hit the towers, John Okonowski. He owned one of the biggest farms in town here. So this town definitely will remember that day. And it affected me more than just that. My niece, who was one of the Rockettes, lived in Manhattan at the time. And like was said, the cell phones were down. There was no way that I could even attempt to get a hold of her. And she was fine. Luckily, she was at the north end of the island at the time, but she couldn't go back to her apartment for quite a while. She had to stay with her brother who lived in the north end of Manhattan. And I went down there. I was down in New York. Not too long after, they were still doing some cleanup. And they had a walkway set up on the side. And my experience being in that walkway, looking at that scene, I'll never forget.
Well, I hope that, I know this has been a somber meeting. So on the one hand, I'm talking about my son that I lost, and then also just remembering this, but there is something good about remembering and not forgetting. And we can't be thankful, really truly thankful, unless we, you know, stop and contemplate these things that have happened. And so anyways, I'm going to go ahead and I want to thank everybody for sharing what you shared. And that I know not everybody got a chance to share. So after we get through here, if anybody wants to stay and talk, you're welcome to. This is our lineup. Wait, hold it. September. Yeah, okay. This is our lineup. So if you see yourself on here, make sure to be prepared for your spotlight speaking. We will not be having a meeting on the week of Thanksgiving or the 2 weeks around Christmas time. And so we do have times open in November, and I'm going to skip this part. Just to remind everybody, as far as announcements go, Patriot Day is on 9/11. Friday is Uncle Sam Day. I thought we should mention that because, you know, Uncle Sam is the one who's always saying, you know, come join the military. And then our inspirational thought is set your mind on a definite goal and observe how quickly the world stands aside to let you pass. I've been going to, I've been in a, it's called Elite Circle. And I feel like that tiger right now, like I'm going for it. Now, what do soldiers want to know before getting married? The rules of engagement. I'm going to stop sharing here. I know a lot of people need to go because it's getting close.
Just before everybody jumps off, I want to thank you, Angela, for sharing and your sacrifice that your family made. Being a Gold Star family is something that should be identified, recognized, and given you all the acknowledgement needed. Thank you very much for who you are and sharing your story today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you.
Angela, you asked about what we can do, and I honestly think we all need to be in prayer every day about our country and about our children. If God's not in people's heart filling that space up, they're going to fill it up with something. And unfortunately, the things they're filling it up with are very divisive in our country. So I think prayer is just really important.
I've just about had to quit watching the news because I find that there is so much divisiveness in it. I'm limiting myself now about what I watch. Like I'll probably watch the debate, but when it comes to politics, like I've already made up my mind what I'm going to do. It's like I don't need to watch anymore. Like I'm just like all I'm doing is worrying about something I have no control over. So and I feel like it makes me a happier person. So but yeah, I think it's really important. You're right that we pray, and that's why I added that minute of silence at the beginning of our meetings.
That's great.
Even if it's just a minute, each of us each day. So
Our country was founded on the principles of God, and we've gotten so far away from that. It's just I think prayer is the only thing that can bring it together and revival in our country.
I was going to say that right after 9/11, everybody was in church.
Yeah.
The churches were packed. People were looking to God for help. Now they look to themselves to answer all their questions and all their problems. And like Janet said, we need to get back to the Lord as a nation.
Ruben, where were you on September 11th?
I was working with a rep. I was with Pfizer Pharmaceuticals working with a rep. And when we found out about Flight 93, it shows you the courage of people getting together and making a decision to bring that baby down.
Janet, I see you have your hand up. I'm sorry, I missed that.
There's no hurry.
What was going on in Canada at the time? You're in Canada, right?
Yeah, I personally was at the dentist, and I can remember leaving the dentist and going home and literally sitting in front of the TV for 4 days. And then finally the government come on and said, if you've been in front of the TV for 4 or 5 days like everyone else, you need to stop and just get on, because people are being impacted really negatively. But you're talking about how not to forget 9/11. I have a friend that lives on the lake here with me, and I interviewed her last year. She's 97 and she's a Holocaust survivor. And she is thinking the same thing. She's near death and she doesn't want anybody to forget the Holocaust. So she's been speaking around the world so that people don't forget, because our governments want to forget. And you can't rewrite history. We learn from history. We have to accept, acknowledge, and grow. But to erase it is despicable. That's how we learn. You can't rewrite history.
How does that saying go? Those who don't learn from history are doomed to repeat it.
Exactly. If we don't have peace within, how are we going to have peace in the world?
Right.
Most of us are walking around dysregulated and not connected with ourselves. So you cannot be grounded in another person. It's just not possible.
Well, I just want to thank everybody for sharing. I think, except for Mary, I haven't heard from Mary, but I'm going to stop recording. And I just wanted to thank y'all. Everybody's welcome to stay and hang out and talk. But I just want to thank y'all for coming. Everybody that's here is like, y'all are here almost every week, and I really appreciate that. I was happy we had a visitor today too. That's awesome. Oh,
Nice.
wait, how do I?
You'll have a great
Oh, here we
week.
go.
You gotta run.
Bye, everyone.
Yes.